Hello, welcome to another episode of Coffee with Mirko. I'm super glad that you're here. Very grateful for each and one of you listening to these episodes. If you're new, welcome. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. I hope that, wherever you are in the world, you're doing fantastic, drinking some good coffee, and I hope things are going well. And we are going to have the second guest for the day. All the way from Germany, so we are looking forward to interview this legend, and we'll be able to just give you some company. And this is episode 88, so if you missed out the previous episodes, not to worry, we got IGTV covered, YouTube covered, podcast covered, you name it. So if you're new, also just feel free to take a screenshot, share this in your stories, as we are trying to let this little community-based podcast grow. And Juan Francisco, muchas gracias. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you love our podcast, and greetings to Aaron. Hello, everyone. Might send the invite to directly to him, because he might not know that we are already rolling. There we go. So, earlier today, we went all the way to Puerto Rico with Abner, and now we are going all the way to Germany with another amazing guest. A roaster, a father, a brewer, a competitor, so we are super, super lucky to be able to have this chance to talk to him. Here he is, and we're gonna bring him on right on time. Let's send him an invite. There we go.
Okay, so it works. Hello.
Good morning. Guten Morgen. Wie geht's?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Good. It's super good to see you. Thank you so much. I know it took us a while to find that time, but you're super busy. We got 9 hours difference now, and I'm super stoked that you're here. So first and foremost, thank you. And how are you? And how are you doing?
Thank you for inviting me. Good. Yeah, it's true. It was like a few busy weeks. But yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's also early here, so yeah, I'm just also drinking coffee.
Please, it's the whole point is just having a coffee together and just chit chat. And just to sort of get into it, how's been things for you and your family with this whole global pandemic situation? Is everything okay for you personally?
Yeah, to be honest, everything is fine. Family is good. Everyone is safe. And to be honest, first 2 months, they were actually really good for me, because we were on lockdown, so I didn't work so much. I worked for the whole 2 months, probably 5 days. So I had a lot of time to spend it with my son, which was great because I've never had so much time with him together, at once. So yeah, we really enjoyed it, and I'm actually glad. We had to remind ourselves that we need this time, and it's sometimes good to take break, I guess.
Yeah.
Just focus on something else.
Super valuable, and your son will. I mean, obviously your son is super young, but it's something. It's priceless for you as well, for him, of course. But no, it's good that we remind ourselves that we're lucky. Some of us are lucky to be able to not work for a little bit and still make arrangements, and that allows some time. And I don't have a son, but the podcast became my version of it. As in, I was lucky to have more time to start this. So
I guess
it's not quite the same.
When did you start those live
I started, I think, first week of April. Yeah.
Okay, so then on the pandemic.
Yeah, because here it started a little bit later, the lockdown, and I was like, well, let's do it. Which it brings us here. First and foremost, you gotta help me with the pronunciation of your name. Is it Wojtek or
Yeah, exactly.
Wojtek?
Yeah,
Okay,
correct.
good. Wojtek, thank you again. And could you sort of give us an idea a bit of how did you start your coffee journey?
Well, it's not like anything special, I guess. I was studying. I was studying mathematics, and then to as a side jobs, I was like working in different shops. I was also like giving private lessons. Um, but so yeah, I was working in the shops, like in a malls in the afternoon after school. And then at some point, I was also just tired of it, so I wanted to find a job in gastronomy, but not restaurant. I was thinking maybe some bar, but then also I didn't want to work in the place where like my friends would be coming and they will be getting drunk and like and I would be sober and also I didn't drink coffee at the time even. So I was like looking for a nice maybe coffee shop, and then some friends recommended me a few places, and then I gave my CV to like three different shops, and then like from one shop it was specialty coffee shop. I even had no idea about specialty coffee. As I said, I didn't drink coffee. Um, and then they kind of hired me just out of the street, like because they just wanted to train someone from zero, from like no like but how we call it, like the no not the yeah
Apprenticeships, or
yeah
like from, yeah.
I mean, yeah, they just wanted to try to just train someone from like just zero. So I was this person, and also that was a shop that everyone were like competing as well. Like they were like really good set of baristas at the time. It was back in Warsaw in Poland. Um, it was 8 years ago now. So yeah, I just started learning about coffee. And because all of them, they were like competing, they were like already like some of the guys were like, yeah, so in the future when you will be tamping, for example, on the barista competition, you need to be sure it's like even and so on. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like studying, I'm gonna do something else. I'm just like here to just make some money. But yeah, then after like few months I started competing in some latte art small competitions, and then also Brewers Cup. And then it came out that I got into final in Brewers Cup after like 6 months of working. And then I got like kind of into it then, and I felt like, yeah, maybe probably I was lucky, but maybe there's something to get more out of it. So I started competing a bit more, not in barista, still in Brewers Cup and Aeropresses, which were like a bit at the time I thought they are easier. And I also, the funny story about this Brewers Cup thing is like I got into the final, and at the time in Poland, the first round there was only compulsory, so no open round. And I got into the final without presentation, without coffee, because I didn't even know the rules so much. And then I had one night to prepare for the final. So yeah, I didn't do super well. But yeah, and then after that, I had to read the rules as well for next competitions. And yeah, that was that's kind of like how I started. And then after a bit less than 2 years, I moved to Berlin already, because my friend was working before at the barn, and then they were looking for someone. And then I just moved to Berlin to work at the barn actually.
Which is obviously the mecca of coffee in Europe, or one of them.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
many of us that don't live in Europe, we're like, oh wow, Berlin is like, there's so much going on. And how was your first impact when you moved to Berlin, I suppose?
So I came here first for trial work, for like 2 days. It was my first 2 days in Berlin. I've never been here before. and then they gave me a month to move. So I went back to Poland. I quit my job, I quit my apartment, and then I just after like a few weeks I moved here. Well, I was actually surprised because back in Poland, most of the baristas, at least I knew, also like the community was like kind of, it felt kind of small. Everyone knew each other, even though I was like so fresh for it. I already knew a lot of people from like whole Poland, not only Warsaw. And then when I moved to Berlin, it felt like completely super different because there was like a lot of like Australian baristas, baristas from UK, like like everyone from every part of the world, which was great. But then they were like, that's just my work. I was thinking, if I will go working for the barn, like all of the baristas, they will be probably like barista champions and so on. And they were like, no, it's just like, they were like very good baristas, but they weren't geeky, And then back in Poland, it wasn't so much money in the coffee, but then baristas, they were like really, really into coffee, like super geeky, like nerds, like proper nerds of coffee.
Which kind of sort of gets along with, the stereotypical, thought around mathematics, it's like, then it kind of, and then how, so did you stop going to uni sort of thing, or you?
Yeah,
or you
I mean, also, I think like summer before I started working in the shop, I went for a few months to work in the bank during my summer holidays, and then I felt like it's not really for me because I didn't want to be a teacher. I wanted to go to bank or something like this, and then I was really miserable at that work, like 8 hours a day at the desk. Just didn't feel right for me, So I got like kind of scared of it, and so I quit. So to just close that door and not go there back.
So you actually got your foot in the door, which is very interesting because when you say my story is not that exciting about coffee, I think it's really exciting instead. I think it's just, it proves to people that it's okay to sort of make a little hiccup, not mistake. I don't call it a mistake, to be like, well, I thought I liked mathematics. I thought I liked to work for a bank. I realized very quickly it didn't, but you did something about it and you're like, well, what do I like? And you just like went with it. And I think it's super cool. I think that a lot of people start to get, it's scary to sort of let that go. And mom or dad or grandpa or society or friends, it's like, oh no, you should build up your career and climb the ladder.
Yeah, exactly. Like my parents were like kind of angry with me at the start for like first like probably 2-3 years after that, but then now they're fine. I mean, like they have a family, so it's now I'm like kind of we're in a different country as well, so it's
that must have been difficult to it must have been difficult mentally, psychologically, to sort of like go with what you wanted, which is super important. And your parents weren't
so
super
important because it felt good, for me, so for myself. So it's I'm always trying to not force myself to do something what I don't want.
I think for the kids at the back or people who are tuning in now, this is to write down. I think putting yourself first and your happiness is just the right way to go. I mean, we're not preaching, but I just love this kind of topic because I see too many people stuck, not liking what they're doing, and then people would, if they hear something that you just said, I think it's just super, super valuable. So thanks for sharing that. I think it's a very, very relevant story. Hat off to you. I think it's super cool. And what, because now you're a Five Elephant, and what are you currently doing there, and what's your kind of role day to day sort of thing? What does that look like?
So I'm head roaster here. and kind of like partly manager, like production manager. We're right now we are kind of like trying to figure out if I'm gonna hold this role or not, because it's just quite a lot. But I mean, because also we had the other production manager which left, and I took over this role, but it's still kind of open. So yeah, but mainly I'm head roasting. I'm part of also green bean buying team. And also now because I'm head roaster, I'm also training new production roaster. So yeah, that's basically it. So I'm mostly like day to day, I'm roasting, QC, some samples, roasting.
When did you start roasting, and how was the process for you to go from barista to roaster? And is this what you love the most? Because being passionate coffee is one thing, but you can do 100 different jobs. Is this exactly what you always wanted?
At the start, not. I mean, because I even didn't know about it so much. Like when I was still in Poland, I've been only to one roastery, and still I haven't even seen the process. Only when I moved to Berlin, and I started working in the barn, then of course I got more into it, and also like more understanding of it. So when I started at the barn, I was like a barista. Then after a few months, I took over like some barista trainings with my colleague, and then also I was like maintenance manager. I don't know if it's because I'm Polish and so it means handy, or no. I mean like no. It's I was like maintaining like all of the machines, including roast machine. So like basically just making sure everything is like clean, greased, if anything doesn't need replacement. So I got trainings from those. And but then I was like looking for something like, you know, a bit more, because I was getting like tired a bit of like barista job, because I was still behind the bar as well. And yeah, so I was just looking around. I was almost like getting the roaster position at the barn, but then also I got to know that my wife is pregnant. So like at this point, I was like, yeah, either I will just stay here, and probably I will just stay here for like very long, or I will make a move. I will do something about this. So then I was just looking around, and then I got to know that Five Elephant is looking for a new roaster, someone to join the roasting team. So yeah, I went for it. So then Patrick Rolfe was still here as a head roaster, and then when they hired me, he just put his notice down. He was like already like, you know, in the process of making April, moving to Copenhagen. So then we had like 3 or 4 months together. And then after this kind of really short time, I took over a head roaster role. So it was like very intense time. Learning curve was like crazy. And then I was on my own, so which I was really scared of, but then I'm kind of glad also I got this opportunity, and that Chris, my boss, was like pretty open for this as well. He didn't like start looking for someone else with more experience, but he kind of trusted me. So that was great actually. And I was like, you know, learning in the process. Like, of course, we had this time with Patrick, but then 4 months is very little anyway. So I was like kind of trying to find also my own way of like roasting coffee, because we never like, not never, but like we not always agreed on like how coffee should taste, like this particular coffee, what we are looking in it. So yeah, also with time, where like I was changing it.
And would you ever go back to just be a barista, or let's say like you found your spot, like that's what you love now, roasting?
Yeah, I think I do enjoy production more than shop. Unless in the future, if I would like to open something by my own, then yeah, it would be different. I would feel more like a really like host, and like inviting people to my own place maybe. But anyway, I think I enjoy roasting more.
And it's crazy because, like, I just love coffee. I love people more than coffee, probably, but how coffee just connects and bring people together. And for instance, I've drunk your coffee all the way from Berlin to Melbourne a couple of times, where there's a shop where they always buy international roasters. And it's actually crazy. Like now I'm talking to you, but it's a coffee that you roasted a year and a bit ago. And it's, yeah, it's super cool. I think, yeah, it's interesting. And just sort of to touch base on something you mentioned earlier, how difficult is to get into roasting, because a lot of people think it's easy, but roasting jobs are not that many because you know, it's different than a cafe on the floor, you know, or baristas where there's more of kitchen. What would, if someone's goal is to roast, what advice would you give them to sort of like, well, you know, is it taste a lot? Is it go to cuppings? Is it network? Is it all the above? Like, what's your take and advice for people who want to get into roasting?
Who want to get the roaster job or just want to open a roastery? Like,
I'd probably just get a roaster job, yeah, because there's a lot of people who ask me that question. I'm like, well, there's a few things you can do, but it's not that easy.
yeah, it's a really tricky question. I think you need to be very lucky anyway. I think I was very lucky that there is not often that you see roaster positions like online. That's the first thing. So that you never know if roaster is really looking for someone, I think. That's the issue. But what could make you better roaster? I mean, anyway, like, so you need to be lucky, you need to get connections. So I always think, I know that competitions, they're not for everyone, but competitions or like at least going to events or just helping to set up events, it's a good way to get connections. Of course, like, and training yourself as a person, as a brewer and a cupper, that's great. But unfortunately, also that's connections are important. So like, do everything, go around, go for like open cuppings. Right now we don't have open cuppings, of course, but if they will be back in the roasteries and stuff, just go there and taste with them, I guess. Yeah, it's tricky. It's I think luck is also a big part of it. But if you will know more people, then you have bigger chances of like just getting to know that someone is actually looking. That's one, and then you maybe they will already know you, and they will know that you're a good worker or like, you know, coffee person. So it's your chances will be just better, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a mix of things. Obviously, luck is always, it's a funny word because I think that you create your own luck. Obviously, being at the right place at the right time is important, but you know, it's like, yeah, like you said, networking, open cuppings, get into the community more, get into coffee events. It's just there's a lot to it, and I think I was talking to Ann Cooper, and I just think also develop your palate a lot by tasting a whole bunch of fruits and flavors and obviously coffee. Yeah, it's tricky, but often you kind of have to start from the front door. You got to start from the barista role within that company. Very rarely you just gonna just jump into roasting, which is because it's an investment for the roastery to train a roaster, junior roaster, to roast a certain style, because it's quite a fine art. And
also, sorry to interrupt you. Also, I think that sometimes when you are like going to work for the roastery but in the shop, and then if you want to end up roasting, don't go for like positions like head barista or something like this, because then it kind of, you're closing your doors for going further, because they will invest the time in training you for this also important position. So then if you would like to move from that position to roasting, then they will need to train you as a roaster and then new person for for like manager or like head barista. So then it's kind of like, it's tricky. So I think it's easier to go from barista to roaster than someone more important.
Yeah, I definitely.
I think I feel a bit this way, because also we had these issues that like some lead barista in the shop wanted to move to the roastery, and then it's tricky, We want to
Yeah,
give the
especially if
chance, but
it's
then
a
it's
high
also
up.
like bigger investment.
Yeah, especially if it's like you said, a higher up position when it's because then you're taking away the position from the shop.
Yeah.
So yeah. And Ruth is asking if you can tell us more about Malabar coffee.
Malabar coffee.
Yeah,
Did we
I
have
think
Malabar coffee?
I think it's maybe it's the monsoon Malabar process, but
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
know.
I would. But then, yeah, it's hard to tell. We don't use monsoon Malabar. As far as I know, monsoon Malabar. You know the process?
I actually no, I don't.
So
Just
monsoon, it's like from monsoon, like heavy weather. Um, if that's the question. So then they're like putting this coffee outside for like dry, but then they just let it sit there for like months or like I don't know weeks, but with heavy weather, so like rain and stuff. So it just like so it takes everything out of coffee, but also it adds this like moldy and stuff and heavy flavors, which I wouldn't say it's good, but that's
maybe
the
for a
process.
blender. Okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So for the
Maybe.
blender, I guess that would be maybe an option to give it like more like heavy body and flavors, if that's the question.
Yeah, I think it is. And speaking of flavors, what how would you describe your style of roasting, and what do you love about the way you roast? Because you also gotta enjoy the roasting as well as doing it.
Yeah. Um, so I'm kind of roaster which is not claiming that we are like really consistent in a way because I mean like me personally, I test a lot of like different approaches. I like to change it. I would never say it's the best way of doing it because I don't know. Um, but anyway, what we are like going for, I think it's for the sweetness, um, and also for like just make it a bit easier to brew in the end, like customer friendly coffee. So that's why also recently you can see on our shelves more like Omni roast, which we call, which is like still a filter which you could brew as espresso if you want, which is not our style. We still like call filter an espresso, but sometimes we just like, yeah, let's make it just something in between. Yeah, like, is it the answer? Yeah, I would say that we go always for sweetness and then pronounce the flavors of the coffee as well. We are still on the light side, of course. I mean, of course, like, yeah, we are on the light side. So we want to for sure taste coffee, but then just make it as sweet as possible. Like I didn't have so many customers complaining, oh, this coffee is way too sweet, People are
Yeah,
just complaining, yeah, this is too sour or this is too bitter, And sweet is good thing.
sweet is a good thing. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah. I think yeah, the proof of that is that some harshy, bitter coffee that you might find in Italy. That's why they put sugar in it to make it sweet. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually this conversation with Abner this morning, Australian time, about Puerto Rican grandmas. Well, they make this coffee from the sock, and they just like
Mm-hmm.
put a lot of
Oh, wow.
sugar and a lot of milk, like super sweet. And it's interesting. It's just it's interesting. I think nobody complains for sweet, or rarely. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, for sure someone will, but like especially if you will put sugar, but then, yeah, just coffee by itself.
Oh yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
meant. Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's what I'm saying. Like nobody complains for sweet. Like I think it's quite the opposite. I think that's the bitterness that people are trying to fight off. And yeah, I like that. And I think I'm not sure because a new friend of mine talking about connecting with people. We connected through the first sip, and he's in Germany. He's in and even Laura and Cedric, and they went recently to Berlin, and he said that he was gonna buy some coffee and send it to me, which is super nice. And I bought some Melbourne coffee and sent it to him. So I'm looking forward to see what coffee he put in the box. He couldn't put everything, so I know he came to five elephant. Hopefully, we'll see what's in the box. But yeah, I look forward to it, and it's gonna be real good fun. Wojtek, we just hit the halfway mark, and
okay. Oh,
just at the nice. I know, super quick, which is good. And we usually ask a ritual question, which is out of the box question, which is, if you could, who would you like to have dinner with? And it can be anybody, doesn't have to be coffee, whoever you want.
Okay. Alive, not alive?
No, it's your dinner.
My dinner. Oh, I got just really bad idea. But I don't know. Maybe someone like some like good, like someone who just changed everything. And I don't know, like Thomas Edison or something. That's just. Yeah, no, actually, no, living ones would be easier. So I'm also like into skateboarding, and maybe cool. Some like living legend of skateboarding, like Tony Hawk, or actually maybe Pontius Alf. It's like a Swedish guy who runs this, it's not new, but like kind of new style company. They have like crazy team. He's an artist, and also like he just created this like really different skate brand. And I just think he's a very interesting persona. So that would be interesting, because he's just, I guess he's just thinking outside of the box completely. So it's good to get this kind of like inspiration, I would say.
There's a comment here saying, you better answer my wife. What's your wife's name? Because that's your surname.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see the comment. Justina, it's like a Justina.
Okay, okay, so I get it. Yeah, so which one is all right there? Love it.
Yeah,
that's
my
good.
Wife.
Yeah. No, it's great. And that's the other part that I love about coffee is just the culture and we can be better in terms of inclusivity, but you have your particular style, you have your tattoos, like you say, you're strong into the skateboard culture, which you can express that even whilst working the coffee industry. I think it's super good. Like, I think coffee allows people. You're right.
What's up? Again, can we go for it? Rick, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. No, what we're saying is that what I love about coffee is also the fact that you can really be true to yourself as well, because no matter if you're in skating or music or, whether it's hip hop or tattoos or long hair, I love coffee because it seems to be a good industry where you can really be yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Even it's changing even now, even for like opening more like those doors, I think. But yeah, that's why also I love coffee. Like when I was going to the bank, I couldn't. I mean, especially in Poland, I guess here it's a bit different in Germany, but like still, I couldn't show my tattoos or like, I had to like wear a shirt and a suit every day. And here, it's much different, and you can also just influence kind of your like, I don't know, roasting or brewing or like anything with you. Like, you can get inspirations from anywhere, and that's also important, I think, and that's what I'm looking at. Like when people are like at the competitions as well, that if someone is bringing something new, that's great,
Yeah, I agree. I think that's obviously every industry has some defects. I think that, we have come such a long way as well in terms of including more, women into the industry. I think 10, 15 years ago was super male dominant, which, I'm very happy to see more and more women competing, women roasting, becoming baristas. So I think it's really good to see, and all kind of flavors in there, and I love it. I think it's super good, because then we could have a table of 10 people, we all different, but the coffee brings us together, and we sort of enjoy it and connect, regardless of, I don't know. I just love the idea of coffee as a connector.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's why, like, it's whenever you go out, like, my wife hates it sometimes, but whenever we go out with like some coffee friends, and just like, coffee, but also then we can just change the topic, because everyone are like so kind of different, and it's always interesting with them. It's for example, my colleague here in the roastery, he used to be in German racing team, so that's his background, for example, which is also super interesting, I think. And he's now roasting with me here, so it's funny.
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I love it. No, it's really good. And talking about competition, a little bit. Sorry, we're going a little bit backwards here. But what's your plan of attack? Are you still, what's your plan for that?
I mean, I had huge plans for this year, but then I ended up being third in Germany. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm still hungry for more a bit. Like, I didn't expect much, like when we were going to Boston, of course, because it was my first time in the Worlds. I was competing in nationals before few times, but then I got like really pumped kind of after we got into the final, and especially after second round, I was on the first position, which was just crazy. And we didn't think we're gonna go so far, and then I want to for sure try more. I have like more ideas. I have producers which I would like to showcase, but also I'm kind of person which, if I'm not gonna find something like really interesting which I would like to show, then I'm not gonna go. I would rather take a break and just wait for a moment that I think I'm gonna change something, or I'm gonna like show something, because I don't want to just go for like just for sport. I mean, it is kind of like sport for me. Like, I do enjoy like this planning. I think I enjoy more planning of the presentation than actually competing and being on stage. I don't like the time on stage so much. It's really stressful, but I do enjoy this process of like trying to plan the presentation to get as much points, or like not to lose points. I think this is really interesting process for me.
I think enjoying the process is the key, actually, to be able to reach a higher spot. Because if you don't enjoy the process, it's like football. It's like any sport. If you don't enjoy the process of training, you will not be able to elaborate and come up with ideas. Also, improve your skills and your presentation in this case, as well as the skills. And it's good. It's good, and I look forward to it. I mean, this year we were meant to have it here in Melbourne, the World, and it's gone the way it's gone, and that's okay. We just have to, I suppose, accept it. And just because we went kind of back into the memory laneway when you said that when you first started working at Five Elephant, your wife was pregnant. So you have a young son, and how is balancing coffee career and family going? Because coffee can be a little bit crazy, maybe the hours a little bit early, and how is it?
Well, I think in the beginning it was kind of hard, but I think now we got like we found the balance and a way of doing it, actually. It's not so hard, especially that I'm working actually on the production, so that's why it's better, because I'm working Monday to Friday, and then we can plan, like, I don't know, weekends or whatever. And also I'm starting early, yeah, but then I can finish early if we don't have so many orders. I mean, like I can do just 8 hours and then go home and still like pick up my son from kindergarten. So it's not bad. I mean, and also if I know we're gonna be busy, I can just start even earlier and then still finish kind of on time.
Yeah, nice. I think it's important to sort of
I mean, but also, yeah, like I have like great support from my wife, especially in like competition times. Then she was like taking a bit more on her shoulders. But yeah, she supports me as well. And now she's also pregnant, so we're gonna have a second one.
Congratulations, and yeah, I think it's
Thank you.
important to sort of talk about this because it's like it's not taboo, but I think it's important because if we want to give a voice to coffee to be a possible career in certain countries, not every country is lucky as, I don't know, Australia or Germany, I think it's important to say, well, you can do what you love and still have a family and have a life, and you can still, I think it's important to sort of highlight that because we don't hear it too often, and yet there's so many coffee professionals out there who still, have a good life, good quality of life, good, happy families. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
And,
I mean, I think it's important to understand what you really care about and just prioritize your time as well. Even if it's work or free time, it's you need to find this balance, and also especially Corona showed us what you really care about, and then try to reorganize your time or just like try to plan it actually, because probably a lot of people they don't do it, and if you plan it, it's just easier to do it better, and then to be more happy in the end.
yeah, and Corona has definitely also, taught a few of us, not everyone, to sort of be grateful for those, like you say, you have spent more time with your son, and be grateful more for those smaller but bigger parts of our lives, and happy with what we have, because it's sometimes it's good, not for everybody, so just for the lucky ones, of course. But yeah, that's good. I'm glad that we could sort of discuss this topic. And Wojtek, more on a broader spectrum, what sort of is your coffee vision, your mission, and I suppose your goals, if we have to talk big and macro?
Well, that's a big question.
That's why I kept it for now instead of the last question.
I think I'm still, in a way, I'm still looking for it. I'm a person who, as I said, I don't like to claim too much, like this is the way we roast now, or I'm a bit afraid of this kind of commitments. I mean, I don't know if it's like being a bit too humble, or you know what I mean? Like, I just don't want to. I'm kind of scared of being this person which sometimes people are looking at, and they want to do it because I don't feel like I have best ideas or best thoughts about stuff yet, maybe. I mean, for now, I do agree with like our company, like kind of mission, trying to work with producers. I mean, just do it in the right way, especially for the roasters. Don't always get just most expensive and best coffees. Just try to get at least everything from the farm, from maybe smaller farmer, but just try to find usage of like all of the coffees they have, not only like this 5% of the production. I think this is important to not be so picky. I get companies which are like only quality driven and want to like serve only best coffee, sure. But in the bigger picture, I think it's just better to think about also others, and also there's not only this high-end specialty, there's also like middle market, and Yeah, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
it's just like it's just
a
we need
balance,
to we need to think
equilibrium.
about like everything and the planet in the end.
Planet, yeah, and I think that planet is an interesting topic because I think that I keep hearing it. I mean, my job is, my my company heavily relies on being keeping eyes and ears on the
Hmm.
on social media, which is, it has its moments, as you can imagine. And I think that sustainability is being such a big
Yeah, I didn't want
buzzword.
to. I didn't want to use this word because it has
I know.
unfortunately not really real meaning, or like everyone are
Which
thinking.
is which is okay because it's just semantic and it's just a word. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
there's only one word to use. But I think the planet is such a good topic because, again, this, for us to talk about, because then more people hear about it, but in the right way, which is, in my opinion, is, I think that we can't give coffee for granted. Let's just stick with coffee for the sake of, our context, because
Hmm.
in price crisis, and like you said, we can't just buy super expensive or super cheap like this. We gotta fill up the whole chain,
Hmm.
and climate change, it's a risk. I know it's negative and all, it make people upset hearing about it, but it's true. Like, we have a growing population and the numbers are what they are, and I think that ultimately, this used to get me really fired, and it still does, but I used to get a little bit upset. I used to think so much about climate change, and because of my lifestyle and the choices I made. But I just came to the conclusion that we have more power than we believe that we have as individuals' own choices. So the minute that we understand that, how what impact it has to buy an apple from your local market, from importing a fruit or vegetable from overseas, or what resources were required to eat 100 grams of this food, whether it's plant-based or whether it's animal product, and what's the impact of that on the environment. I think it's super, super relevant. And yeah, you're right. I think no matter what industry we're in, we need to, yeah, I like what you said. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's as I said, like I don't want to say my last words on these topics, but and also like yeah, as an individual, I'm maybe I don't know if it's a lot or it's very little. 8 years I'm in the industry, but I still I feel like I'm learning all the time and changing my mind, which is that's why I'm with coffee. That's why it's great. But I just don't want to say my
The last
last
word.
words on those
Of
points.
course. No, I
Because
respect
anything
that.
can
And I think
change.
anything can change. And I think you're super relevant because, and again, you work for a company that, when I interviewed you guys on the other a couple of months ago, the ethos and the values behind is what matters the most. So it's true, we keep learning, we keep improving, and, you've been working for 8 years before, for most part, for, good companies, which has all these
Mm.
values and such. And yeah, look, if it was an easy solution, like, I don't know, when, your car breaks down and you take the mechanic and like, oh, we need to change your tire. Well, that's easy. We just change the tire.
Mm.
Yeah, like you said, yeah, this huge topic, and we just can do. We can only try our best, and then we'll see what's tomorrow's new
Yeah,
best.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And lastly, thank you for coming on. It's super good to share these topics and this conversation with you. What's next for you? What's your next? Uh, what's happening? What's coming next in your world? Aside from, obviously, a new baby, which is super, super exciting, and I'm happy.
Yeah. Apart from this, I don't know. We'll see. That's for now its main focus. Of course, in the past, I was thinking about opening my own shop and then a roastery. But then it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm still, it's the same as like saying the last words, I don't know, because then I will stuck to it for a while for sure, and I'm just not sure what I want to open, or like if I want to still open anything. So right now I'm like I still feel like I'm learning here, so it's good. If I will feel like I stopped, then I will think about next move. Of course, like some more doors opened after last year's Boston. But yeah, we'll see. Like I don't know yet. It's
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool.
for now. It's trying to grow within still in the company, and maybe just stay here. Maybe we'll just
Nice.
yeah just
No, it's
yeah.
good.
It's good moment as well for Five Elephant where like Corona happened, but we have healthy growth. And it's interesting and it's good to be here, and also I like the values of the company, so I'm fine with being here, and it's
Yeah, which is very important now. And lastly, speaking, because you just mentioned a healthy growth, did you notice? I'm assuming, but did you notice much more of a growth when it comes to home brewing in Germany, and how is that? You know, is that making you happy to see more people brewing at home in Germany?
Well, yeah, for sure, like more during Corona. Yeah, that was like our retail sales went crazy during Corona, of course. Like we had like a lot of small packages, where before we had like mostly wholesale customers. It's good. Also, people are drinking more better coffee, which is nice. And as everywhere, like people are more aware of what they drink and what they eat on many levels. It's not like just coffee. It's not only wine or beer. It's just people are getting like like baking bread by themselves, and which it's good to see. And yeah, homebrew is also like I'm happy that there is more machinery which allows people to also brew better coffee, even like home espresso machines and so on. Where like a few years back, it was like when someone was asking me like, hey, I would like to make espresso at home, I was like, forget about it, there's no way. Where now it's, there are companies like I don't know, like I don't want to say names, but there are like many companies on the market which are making it like possible, and also it's not so pricey anymore. I mean, it is of course still not crazy cheap, but you can afford it for sure.
100%. Yeah, it's good. Wojtek, it's such a treat and a pleasure meeting and chatting with you. I'm really glad that we could make it work. It took us a while because it's super busy between work, family, and hosting. No. Why? No, it's been really good, and maybe we can do a second version of this down the track in a few months, and we can do maybe something different that you want to showcase. Whether we could be, I don't know, cupping, or you could give us a tour of the roastery. Whatever it is, whatever suits you. Happy to do another one anytime, and hopefully we get to travel again soon. Berlin is in my destination list, so we'll hopefully get to share a cup of coffee for real. But this was super nice, and thank you again for giving us an hour of your time, man.
Thank you for inviting me so much, and
thank you.
Yeah. Okay, great.
All right. Good luck especially with your new baby, and congratulations again. Super good.
Thank you. So have a good night, right? It's evening with you.
6 p.m. Yeah, you're on spot. So. Still okay. Dinner time for sure. And well, for you, start the day, and have a good day, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you again.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. There you have it, guys. I'm just this was another amazing episode. This number 88, the perfect number, 88. And Wojtek was such a good sport, and I just love to hear his story. Super humble, super interesting, and really created an understanding that possibilities can be reached. Like there's possibilities within coffee, whether it's work, career, and life. Maybe not for every country, but in this case, he made some big moves from obviously Poland to Germany, and the rest is history. You've heard it. So thank you so much for sticking around. Really appreciate that. And if you're new, welcome. I'm Mirko, and I would love if you just wanted to take a screenshot and reshare this. We do this live podcast 2, 3, 4 times a week. We record them and then we put them on our podcast. So Spotify, if you're listening now on Spotify, thank you. Feel free to take a screenshot and reshare this podcast across, share with your friends or your coffee friends. And the goal is just to create more of a community. So having said so, we got something big lined up for next week. Not just the podcast itself, but we're gonna have a special giveaway. And I hope that you will turn on your notifications, because this giveaway is gonna be, it's gonna be really exciting. And big shout out to Tanti, you here, Lewa. I saw your question, Lewa, and I'm based in Melbourne, and Wojtek is based in Berlin. And big shout out to Irem. I always see you tagging us. Thank you, Michael, Mikal, Maureen, Shima, Andres, and Hawk, Tel Aviv. So thank you all. Hope you're well. And Shim, you're late, but it's okay. We'll record this and repost it. Thank you so much for sticking around. Sending you much love. Have a lovely day, lovely night, and take good care of yourself and stay caffeinated.